Epiphany. Okay, what am I looking at here? Epiphany, a sudden insight or intuitive understanding. Actually, that's number 3. Number 1, a Christian feast celebrating the manifestation of the divine nature of Jesus to the Gentiles as represented by the Magi. Magi, yeah. Traditionally observed on January 6th. Well, that can't be right. What is this? This is already the 20th, so that was the 19th. Huh. A revelatory manifestation of a divine being. And then my thing, the sudden insight or intuitive understanding thing. What else? Epiphany, also called Feast of the Epiphany. Theophany, or Three Kings Day. Christian holiday commemorating the first manifestation of Jesus Christ to the Gentiles, represented by the Magi, and the manifestation of his divinity as it occurred at his baptism in the Jordan River and at his first miracle at Cana in Galilee. That was Britannica. Merriam-Webster, January 6th, again, that can't be right, observed as a Christian festival in commemoration of the coming of the Magi as the first manifestation of Christ to the Gentiles, or in the Eastern Church in commemoration of the baptism of Christ. Yeah, that was the thing they had yesterday. Wikipedia. Epiphany, known as Theophany in Eastern Christian tradition. It is the Christian feast day commemorating the visit of the Magi, the baptism of Christ, and the miracle at Cana. In Western Christianity, the feast commemorates principally, not only solely, the visit of the Magi to the Christ child, and thus Jesus Christ's physical manifestation to the, and then you got whatever. So, yeah. So that's Epiphany. Epiphany. So, yeah, I was looking at the, I was reviewing my channels yesterday. And, yeah, I was trying to see what the heck's up with that, and I was even looking at the, whatever. I was even looking at the comment sections of various, of some of the channels I subscribe to and all that kind of stuff. And I won't get into the details about all that. Initially, it all seems good, but way back when I just first started it, yeah, that was a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. There are too many jerks out there, so I'll leave it at that. Okay. So, never going to happen. Never. I mean, if you've got a staff of people to deal with the BS, it's fine. If you don't, never going to happen. So that's how that works out. Yeah, actually, I wrote notes. See? Epiphany and all that kind of thing. See, I wrote it down. Epiphany. I'm getting ready for my YouTube development thingy. Holy cow. Just realized this while writing this stuff down. That's how people put together their descriptions. They take it from their notes. Oh, man. Anywho. And then I just got the points. Points I wanted to get into. Alright. Okay. What is this? YouTube development comments? No. Title, description, then thumbnails. Oh, yeah. Title, description, and then thumbnails. Right. Yeah, because then I was looking at my titles and descriptions. Again, well, this was last night, but It just came to me that until you work that out, the thumbnails aren't even relevant, kind of thing. Right? I mean, that's the basic SEO. Again, SEO is search engine optimization, right? Search engine. That's the whole. If people aren't pulling up your video, they're not looking at your thumbnail. So you don't even have to worry about all that kind of stuff until you worked out your title and description, kind of thing. So it's like, unless you're going to pay someone to promote that too, right? Yeah, because that's, I'm looking at it like that, man, that's, when you're trying to get a broad audience, or even any kind of audience, right, then you focus it for what they're looking for, kind of thing, right? But that's, why would I, especially when at the end of the day, you're really not, the revenue you generate from even a very highly viewed, highly ranked channel is, as I understand it, next to nothing. So why would you, and that's going to be a lot of work. And then I remember watching some video that says, I see this time, just this common pattern. People get to that point. It wasn't 1,000. What was it? 4,000? 4,000? Is it 4,000? When it becomes monetized or some kind of thing? When you start, I don't know. Well, whatever. I think it's 4,000. I'm trying to remember. But then they drop off. Right? People bust their hump until they get to that revenue point, and then they're completely spent. It just took everything they had and then some just to get to that point, and then they just freaking, it just wasn't worth it, right? It was, they kicked ass. I mean, they really burnt it at both ends, and just for, And this, he was saying, well, this is a common pattern he sees over and over again. And, the Brett Dev thing came up again. Know why. Start with why. And as a matter of fact, when I went to the BookBud website a couple of days ago, whatever, I saw it on the, I think that was the business category, and it's actually on my wish list. That's one of the things that ended up on. I tell you, they did an excellent job with that website. There's no getting past it. But yeah, that's start with why. Yeah, and if you're doing that YouTube development thing, start with why. Because that's a heck of a lot. Just doing this, focusing on what I'm trying to do, which is apparently just making sure I figure out for myself, if nobody else, what the heck I'm doing, right? Just trying to organize my own plans and approach and all that kind of stuff. That's my why. So yeah, this takes effort. And this is when it's just for me. Okay? And just this slight little thing, trying to get ready for a broader kind of audience approach kind of thing. I mean, if you're talking about things that other people might be interested in kind of thing, and you want to make sure you covered it, that must take a heck of a lot of work. I mean, these are considerably more steps than if you're just doing it for your own focus and your own objectives. A lot more steps. So can you imagine get to that 4K thing when you're doing all this? Oh my God. Yeah, then you would be burned out, wouldn't you? So yeah, start with a why. Now, why am I getting into all this thing? Because the freelance ain't taking the time out of my day that I thought was right? And I'm still having to think of ways to generate some kind of revenue, right? And I was thinking again. So all that advice Brett Dead has given, is that his approach? Has he been basing it on that constant interaction with people? Is that how? Because he was saying stuff like, in 3 weeks you'll have a lot of clients and all that. This is coming from a person who's doing the constant interaction thing. He's basing it on that, on that concept. That's the bottom line. That's his foundation of what he's basing all his advice on. So now I'm having to rethink all the other things he'd said previously if he's starting from that point. That's a starting point. I'm going to write that down because I'm going to put that in the description. So this is starting point. Okay, because yeah, you have to re-examine what he said now. In 3 weeks, he'll have all these. So this is the constant back and forth, the interaction. This is people that he obviously likes dealing with people. And from an interview I saw him give, because I was talking about, I looked up more with Upwork kind of thing, which I'm still trying to figure out how to use. And but that's what he's basing it on. So, yeah, having to rethink all this kind of stuff. And like he also said, it's going to take 2 to 3 times longer than you think to get this stuff up and running. Well, that's just a guess, right? He's obviously living in his own kind of thing, starting from his own starting point. 2 to 3 times longer than you think. Actually, for me, it's probably more appropriate to say 10 times longer than I think it's going to take. Especially if this is his starting point. Okay. Yes, he's a very informal person when he's interacting with his clients and all that kind of stuff. That's, as a matter of fact, he is more professional in his videos than he is apparently when talking with his clients. Well, it is New York. What do you want? Actually, this is a very quiet neighborhood because I only hear a bunch of noise when I'm doing these videos. Anyway, but that's okay. So, okay. So where was I? His starting point? He's very informal and yeah, I'm thinking this freelance thing. Now, I'm not going to take off my gigs because I still have requirements I've got to get done. He can talk all he wants to about you're building a life for yourself, but right now I'm trying to fulfill certain requirements I've got to fulfill. So as far as that building, yeah, fine, that's the book thing, okay? So that's me with the books. Now, the other part might be YouTube development. Again, but that's going to be for my thing. The freelancing thing, if that's really what it takes, if he's starting from that point. But yeah, I'm not going to take down my gigs. As a matter of fact, I may add a heck of a lot more gigs. If that's what he was, and he says just focus on one thing. You don't have to do it. It just has to be adequate. You know, just start it. But that's someone that's constantly likes to interact with people. So that's his mindset, right? That's what he's basing all his other advice on. Now, for someone that doesn't understand, as he would call it, yeah, the approach has to be completely different. Right now, I have to satisfy certain requirements that my situation presents me with. And at the moment, it is the paperwork. So it's not taking off the gigs I already have on there, it's adding more. So, yeah, I've got to think about every skill I have and create a gig out of it. Oh my gosh, yeah. So I gotta have a bunch of gigs out there. Not just one and build on it and focus on it and get, really professional quality on that. If that's what he was basing it on, I've got to put even more things on. I need the paperwork. But the real work is going to be the books, my book titles, and if I get into the YouTube development, it's for my own promotions. Just like all the writers that have writing for a living channels, all that is promoting their own products, right? So they are putting out videos that people want information about, which is why their SEO is so good, that their ranking is good enough for the videos to pop up on the first or second screen. So talk about stuffing pages. So these people haven't tried a fraction of all the stuff they're suggesting, really, is what it comes down to. They're stuffing pages. Right? They're stuffing pages. They're just putting it out there to get the SEO right, so that people, when they're doing their searches, they pull up they're pushing their own products. So most of the stuff they talk about, they actually don't know about, is what it comes to. And that's just for the ones that are sincere. Okay, that wants to provide useful information. They haven't tried any of the stuff they're talking about, or I should say, they've only tried a few of the things they talk about. They're just doing the good SEO things, right? Giving the people what they want. Because there is no way they've tried all this. So it's like, oh boy, yeah. Yeah, because we're all trying to do the same thing, right? We're all trying to generate a revenue. We're all pushing our own products. They just got their SEO down better than I do. I wasn't even focused on that, right? I'm just throwing this thing out. This is for my own thing. Basically, the first couple of sentences out of my mouth is the whole basis of all this stuff. To amuse myself, just to keep myself, focused and all that. It still hasn't changed. That's still what's going down. So it's like, yeah, okay. So if you approach it like a business, right? You're trying to generate some kind of revenue, which is really bad, considering how much work you got to put into this and minuscule revenue you get out of this option. Yeah, Brett Dev is right. Start with why. Why are you doing this, right? Start with. So your other options have to be so limited for you to choose. But that is what it's come down to, right? Everyone's options have become so limited. So yeah, it's going to be a heck of a lot of work. But whatever. So they better be promoting other stuff. At that point, oh, and that's the other thing. I was thinking, this was a few days ago though. The affiliate marketing thing, all that stuff only works once you have a humongous following. Because otherwise, that doesn't even make sense, right? It doesn't even come into play. That's, what do they get? This, yeah, doesn't even come into play. So it's like, yeah. Like I was thinking of this was quite a while ago. The hostelworld.com, and I wanted to get into that because again, that's the one I use constantly. I mean, it's almost never do I without that and cheapflights.com, but I've soured on that as soon as I soured on taking planes at now I'm more into having the bus option, even if you don't, but I would prefer taking the bus because how they can completely screw you when, excuse my French, mess with you when you take with the air flight things. So it's like, you know what, good, dude, I'm taking the dang bus. It takes, at the end of the day, it takes just as long and fewer hassles. Who could have had imagined, right? Fewer hassles, excuse me, because yeah, if anyone's ever taken a bus anywhere, you know what a hassle that is. So just imagine if they've got fewer hassles now than the airlines. You can see where the airlines are, right? So it's like, oh my God. All right, so yeah, I may not do the cheapflights.com anymore, but the hostel world I would still do, right? But again, that stuff only makes sense once you have a humongous following and all that. Otherwise, it doesn't even come into play. Just like the thumbnails don't even come into play if you don't have your title and your description, because what are people looking? They're not even looking at the thing. They haven't even pulled up your video thing. Right? I mean, the thumbnail comes into to play when someone keys in what their search is, and then they got a whole page full of videos. And that's when the thumbnail comes in. Because now they're looking at all these thumbnails on this page, and they're deciding which one to go with it, right? That's when the thumbnail comes into play, not before. You got to get your title and your description, and then you can worry about the thumbnail. That's when you're competing with other videos with thumbnails, right? And so it's a whole. So yeah, start with the why, because that's going to be a lot of work. So, and the freelance thing, if you're not a people person, if that's what he was basing all his advice on, that having to do that constant interaction kind of thing, yeah, talk about people. Now I've got, not that I just discount what he's talked about, because he is right the way he's looking at it. And even generally speaking, he's right, but you got to take it with a grain of salt now. Now you have to be aware of where he's coming from with this advice. So he said 2 to 3 times longer than you think it's. Yeah, no. For me, it would be closer to 10 times longer. And definitely start with why. For that YouTube development thing, definitely start with why, because that's going to be a lot of work. So yeah, if I'm trying to do the book thing, that's not, I actually have to stay away from that, because this is going to take up considerably more time and effort than the stuff I'm just doing now, which is focused on what I'm trying to do and the best way to go about it. Not trying to answer anyone else's questions and all that kind of stuff. You know, if it's relevant to other people, that's great, but really, the reason I don't need notes and all that kind of stuff and don't have a description ready and whatever is because I'm not doing this for a broad audience, okay? And it's just an audience, yeah, but it's just really, really, really comes down to me getting it straight for myself. Which is why I've never been concerned about getting a very descriptive title or description or even the thumbnail things until now. Yeah, epiphanies, right? So, from KKK to CIA, what am I going to put as a tag? As a tag, I might put dealing with procrastination. I still have those citations to do. Okay. But, yeah, after this, okay, so once I get the citations done, I've got to now, you know what? After my first full day of doing citations, nothing but citations, I'm going to contact that person that I've already selected from Fiverr. Yes, it's Fiverr I'm using. Like I said, I still can't figure out how to use Upworks. So, yeah, Fiverr. Yeah, I'm there more as a buyer apparently than a seller. So I think that's the way it usually works out. Which is why I think they make it so user-friendly, because they find out, well, people are going to use this more as buyers, and say, yeah, that's also how it works out. Another epiphany, right? Yeah, you really start figuring out how these things are actually operating. So, yeah, they make it so user-friendly because you end up being a buyer more than a seller. Upworks, I still don't know how the hell to, excuse my French, how to use the darn thing. So. And if I'm to take Brett seriously, excuse my familiarity, Brett, it ain't ever going to happen. So, but no, I'm not pulling my gigs off Fiverr. Like I said, I'm probably going to add about another 100 gigs on that thing. And really think of every skill thing I can possibly and turn it into a gig, because I still have certain requirements I need to fulfill. So unless they hook me up with something or whatever, because as far as filling out at my age, we're done. I'm sure that's not the case, but I mean, if if you can take rejection, constant rejection, then you're good. You can keep on going, and eventually, just statistic-wise, but things like Indeed and all that, I'm done. All right, I'll leave it for the kids. All right, so. But, yeah, as far as trying to fulfill the requirements I need to fulfill, I've got to think of every darn little skill and turn it into a gig. And forget about Upworks, because Brett, I take you seriously. I think you are a person of integrity, and even if you aren't, you certainly are capable of presenting yourself as such. Because yeah, dude, I take you seriously. He's very informal. A lot more informal than I can be. Okay, yeah, that didn't come out very well. Okay, I can't do the informal stuff. I take you seriously. Okay? And if I'm going to take you seriously, as far as Upwork is concerned, I think I'm done with Upworks. Fiverr is a completely different matter. I'm going to end up being more of a buyer than a seller on that thing. But even so, because of the requirements I've got to deal with, I am not going to remove my gigs. I am, on the contrary, just add another 100 to it, kind of thing, is what it's going to end up being. So I need the paperwork, boys and girls, what can I tell you? But as far as building a life, as Mr. Dev states it, yeah, that's going to be the book stuff. And I'll try to stay away from the charlatans. And for me at this point, it's the promoters and the description writers. And how do I do that? Like the first promoter I just engaged, yeah. If I don't generate even what it cost me to hire the person, that's it. That was the first and last time I deal with this person. So if it costs you $40 for someone to mention your product and you can't even generate $40, a $40 return off of that, if you're not meeting at least the cost, don't even worry about it. Pick someone else. And you go like that until you actually hit pay dirt, because really, because I cannot afford to do it any other way. All right? Yes, I'm aware of the fact that if I put forth $1,000, odds are I will at least recoup that investment. Odds are. But there's also a chance that I won't. I don't have the wherewithal to take an option like that. I don't. So it's not even an issue. So I got to go through the cheaper versions of what needs to be done until I hit pay dirt. Okay? And that's it. It'd be great if I had, a vast amount to play with and all this kind of thing. Great, wonderful. Of course, go for the best and whatever. And at the very least, you will recoup your investment, kind of thing. You will, That's not an option for me. I cannot make that kind of. I can't take advantage of those kind of resources. So I have to do it this way. Okay, that's my epiphany. Oh my God, more than 30 minutes. Yeah, that YouTube development. I'm really hoping it's not going to get to that point, because that's going to be a lot of work. I really would have to start with why. And I have to get through all my title list first, because that's going to be a heck of a lot of work. Because I'm remember, this is just for me. If I was doing this for a broader audience, I mean, there would be more planning and considerably more steps, and even then you've got to reach 4,000 viewers to start generating a holy moly, yeah, Yeah, you're down to your last option once you take that road, because that's gonna be a lot of work. Yeah, I would imagine everyone would be burned out by the time they got to the revenue point. Okay, 35. All right, let me look at these notes. Was that everything I wanted to talk about? YouTube development, start with why. 2 to 3 times longer? Yeah, no. Reaching and I think it's 4K. Freelancing, really? There's a bunch of gigs out there, but yeah. Dealing with procrastination. Yeah, procrastination. Yeah, because after this, I got to do a toilet paper run. So it's I'm getting to it. Again, my first full day of citations and nothing but citations is also the day. That's when, or the day after is when I contact the person to start writing up the description thing, because that means there are no more floating bits and pieces. Everything's clamped in there, and I'm just doing nothing but the citation part. And so now she has the whole thing to. I'm a pamphleteer more than a book writer, so it's she doesn't have much material, but it's like, all right, here's the whole thing. Do your selling. Right. It's enough to be the writing part without having to sell the thing. So. Oh yeah, how to pick a good seller. Right there. Okay, that's the other point. I'm not taking any more recommendations. I should have known with a name like that they're yeah, no, it's the same thing. I'm not going to even get into it. I'm sure he's a very fine person. Okay, so whatever. But I don't have time to deal with nonsense. Okay, I've got things I need to get done, and I'm not trying to take the slowest path possible. So I got to cut through a lot of BS. So he's part of that. I got to cut through. Okay, so how am I picking these Fiverr people? Yeah, I do my little search thing. I see what kind of the gigs. I read the gigs to make sure it's the kind of thing I'm looking for. And once I'm sure I got the right category and whatever, I'm doing the top rated seller filter thing, and then I go from there. So the highest ranking without blowing me away as far as the price is concerned. Like everybody else, right? I mean, that's recommendations. I don't care about any. The only recommendation I'm caring about now is my own. I'm going for the highest ranking thing. That's not going to give me a stroke when I see how much they're going to charge. That's it. And if I don't get at least what it cost to pay them, then I don't use them again. That's it. The first and last time. And that's how I'm going to deal with it. So, yeah. And as far as telling you who I chose for the book description and the promotion thing, if I at least make what I put into it, then I will tell you who I chose. Otherwise, I am not making any recommendations because I'm not trying to lead anyone else to. You know the person I talked about? He was talking like about this person, this was a book cover designer. And he was just, praising her no end and left and right and all this kind of stuff and whatever, and then her rates are really low and all this kind of stuff, but her work is incredible. So of course I go to the thing to engage this person, and The last time she did something on Fiverr was like a year ago. So she's obviously gone off to bigger and better things. Okay, so there's another dead-end road this person led me down. Okay, so I don't have time for nonsense. Okay, so I'm operating under the gun here. There's the certain time frame. I'm not trying to take the slowest path. So the heck with his recommendations. One of them, this person doesn't even work on Fiverr anymore. The other one, I'm not seeing any kind of return. Okay, I know this thing isn't an overnight thing, but until I make at least what I put forth, the first and last time I used this person. So, and then I looked at his other videos and saw and that he has engaged in black hat tactics. He hasn't stopped. Oh, excuse me. I'm sure he's a fine person, but whatever. Okay, so forget about it. Well, I'm off in a tandem now. 41 minutes. I'm sorry, boys and girls. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to do this thing without making all the mistakes I already made. All right? I'm trying not to repeat my mistakes. And I'm juggling a lot of information at this point. And all this thing is flooding all together. So, excuse me. All right. Epiphanies, right? Procrastination. But whatever. If that's what it takes to learn what I need to learn, okay. So this is part of the journey. Okay. So, all right. From KKK to CIA, that's me pushing my own product. The tag on this one's probably going to be dealing with procrastination, but not, because this is part of the journey. This is learning from all the mistakes you've already made, and from all the mistakes you almost made, and for all the mistakes you're making now. Okay, this is all part of the journey. So this is what I'm processing and dealing with and whatever. Okay, 42, almost 43 minutes. It is 9:33 a.m. January 20th, 2023, somewhere in Brooklyn. Oh gosh. Okay, as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and I will talk to you later. Take care.